The other side of the river, we have been listening to and seeing cartel members, human traffickers, right on the other side of the river, waving flashlights, yelling and taunting Americans, taunting the Border Patrol.
There you get Texas Senator Ted Cruz overnight describing, as he stood next to the Rio Grande, the scene at our southern border. The Texas senator is one of a number, 18 Republicans in all, visiting the border for a firsthand look at the crisis today. Utah Senator Mike Lee is also a member of that Republican delegation. He joins us right now from Mission, Texas. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, the president has said, I'm going to be transparent. I'm just not going to be transparent right now. You're not going to take that for an answer. You are down there to see the situation with your own two eyes. But I understand you're not going to be allowed to take any pictures or anything or bring members of the press along, because that is a bridge too far right now for the administration. They don't want the pictures out.
Yeah, they made it into a press-free zone, which is why we're going to have to tell the story for the country. Now, look, we're not journalists. We're not good at any of that. But if we're the only Americans who can be allowed in there, we're going to tell the story. And it's one of the reasons why we've got 18 U.S. senators down here in Mission, Texas. We want to get to the bottom of what's happening.
You know, and it was this week that you actually introduced legislation to try to fix the system. And I'm sure you're going to get Republican support, but the big problem is, can you get people on the Democratic side to sign on as well?
You know, Steve, the worse this crisis gets, and the more people who see what we saw last night. I'm standing right next to Senator Cruz last night at about midnight, as we were standing right on the banks of the Rio Grande. We had drug smugglers, cartel members, people who are making $14 million every single week while this crisis lasts, bringing people across the border illegally, subjecting them to untold privations, sexual abuse, and other horrible things. They were yelling at us, taunting us, shining high candle power flashlights across the river at us, basically saying, we're coming.
Yeah.
And these are easy things to fix. That's why I introduced this bill, the Stopping Border Surges Act, along with Andy Biggs in the House. And this adopts a couple of common sense policies, many of which really predate the Trump administration, others of which were adopted somewhat more fully during the Trump administration, but that we've now abandoned.
You know, the administration is having some messaging problems because they are making it very clear, if you want to travel internationally and fly into the United States, you need to have a negative COVID test. And yet at our southern border, under this president, the Border Patrol, which is not administering COVID tests to incoming migrants and is not administering tests to migrants when they release them into the interior of the United States, you're going to see later today, it is a super spreader event at these detention centers. But nobody's talking about the fact that while Joe Biden says, I'm trying to stop the flow of COVID into the country, he's not stopping the flow if he's not stopping the migrants with COVID by not having them federally tested.
No, not at all. And look, it's a tragedy that we make it harder for U.S. citizens to come back to their own country than we do for people who are coming here illegally, enriching the drug cartels in the process. And I'm told from some sources that the people coming through the caravans are testing positive for COVID at a rate 7 times what we see here.
Yeah.
This is unacceptable. It absolutely defies reason and logic. And these are solvable problems. All we have to do is go back to old policies that we've got through bilateral agreements with our northern and southern neighbors, Canada and Mexico.
Yeah.
And we expand that. We should be able to send back unaccompanied minors who show up here on their own, send them back to their own countries. We also want to be able to set up these agreements that the Trump administration negotiated with the Northern Triangle countries, saying that if you want to seek asylum in the United States, but you cross through another country first, if that country's safe, like Mexico, that's where you're seeking asylum.
Or maybe just put a pause on all of that stuff until after the coronavirus subsides, but maybe that makes too much sense. Senator, thank you very much. Good luck today. Come back and tell us what you see.
Thank you very much.
All right.